Well, hello and welcome to Alamance County Talks Politics. Today I have with me a guest, Pam Thompson. She is an Alamance County Commissioner, and today we're going to be talking about the $37 million Alamance County Courthouse addition. If you live in Alamance County and you've not heard of this, you're going to listen to this conversation between us. Well, Pam, hello and welcome to Alamance County Talks Politics. I've got you on here to help give us a little bit of insight about this $37 million addition and 1 cent tax increase that's going to take effect at the beginning of 2026, I believe. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about this courthouse. And I've got some pictures in the next one that you took. Help us to understand a little bit about this courthouse and what it's going to mean to the Alamance County taxpayer.
Well, I'll go back a couple of years. When we were talking about, I've worked 3 years for recovery court for addiction, which finally this year, but I was pushing really hard for a public defender's office because in our county, there's not a whole lot of lawyers that do capital murder, rape, the real high felony stuff. A lot of times they're, kind of subcontracted out from the AOC in Raleigh. There's just, believe it or not, there's sometimes a shortage of attorneys. It's just what it is. But I had met Mary Pollard at a conference I went to, and she was over the AOC when it comes to doing the public defender's office. I met with her, and it was talk that Alamance County was set to get this because we were looking at possibly getting another judge, a district court judge. And so she come in, I had lunch with her. I got Craig Turner to come with me, super nice guy. He's an attorney, very open-minded, and we met, and he was very supportive of it also. She spoke with the Bar Association, and they were 100% supportive of it too, because people can't wait in jail forever with lawyers because they're so filled up. I mean, you need to move your cases as fast as possible to get justice, either side. And so anyway, Amy Gailey was a strong supporter of it. Ricky Hurtado was. Steve Ross wasn't in the House then, Dennis Rydell. And so it got voted on, and we received a new district attorney's office and our public defender's office. With the public defender's office, county only has to provide office space. Those salaries and all the stuff that goes with it is provided by the state. It's like the district attorney's office, but on the other side. And it just makes such a difference. If you get arrested and you're not hiring an attorney, that public defender gets to the jail ASAP to see you, to interview, or you come to their office and that kind of thing. So it keeps the court system moving along so much more efficient, and people get their due justice in court, guilty or not guilty. And so I've talked about that for a year, about the public defender's office, and kind of got ignored. And then when we heard we was getting a new judge, that kind of took off. Well, we're going to need more room in the courthouse. And so they were initially started at looking at $99 million, 4 floors, all kind of stuff, remodeling the J.B. Allen Courthouse. This was an addition to that. They even thought about tearing that down and building a whole new thing at one time. It was all kind of ideas. And that price, I had a heart attack over. I threw it out. If you're going to do this, you're going to put it on the ballot. It's going to be voted on like the educational bond. Well, it kind of got quiet. Davenport, who does our bonds for the educational bond, was in talking to us about it. Another 90, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of interest. So anyway, so then it got bumped down to in the 70s. And I thought, no. And they were taking it down, I think, still 4th floor, but only not just having it a shell, have the other 3 floors to expand that into. Then it got bumped down to in the 50s. And then it was 3 floors and this and that. So now it is allegedly at 37 million, and it's going to be 3 floors, and it's going to be, they're doing some upkeep to the existing J.B. Allen. They've took out the jury room and moved it across the street in the annex building where people used to vote early and for elections. The veterans is on the back of it. Planning is in there too. They've remodeled it by painting, and they built a desk when you first come in, and it looks like they moved all the chairs and tables from the courthouse over there. Concerns about that with known jurors with their tags around their neck says juror walking in an open street like that, but they're going to have to make this work somehow. So anyway, I was at the courthouse the other week because I wanted to see what had happened to the jury room. I went up, took my phone, which thank goodness they let me, and it was closed. And a friend of mine was in there, and he let me in. And it's got 3 pews. They had bought those from Forsyth County. They're used. They look fine. A pew's a
Is this
pew.
those pictures, Pam?
That's
That you-
that's the new jury room that the jury will meet there when you're called to see who does it. That's where they'll meet. That's in the old annex building, which is where we used to vote early. It's been painted and really cleaned up. It looks really nice. But the other courtroom is what the magistrate was in there, and that's that one. And there's one more pew behind those two, and that single pew that's about half the size will be moved over on the wall that'll be to the left. But people will go in there from different situations. The magistrate will be in there, and on the other side of that wall is a hallway. It's about maybe 6 foot wide, and it's got some chairs in it in case the jury has to go out of that little room. Not much, a drink machine. And so anyway, we had set allegedly $100,000 aside for this. And so I've requested, I want an itemized statement of what we spent, because Mr. Baker didn't think we would be needing that kind of money, but have more than you might need in case you don't go over. So I'll be getting that this week. And so that opens up for another courtroom. Well, the addition is supposed to cover, so we'll have a courtroom for every judge. That'll be Andy Hanford and Doug Green for Superior Court. Then Katie Overby is the Chief District Court Judge. You'll have Larry Brown. Then you'll have now Craig Turner. He's new. You'll have Meredith
Edwards.
Edwards, yes, I wanted to call her by maiden name. She's the new appointed judge person. Craig resumed Rick Champions, and then you've got Brian Ray that would assume Brad Allen's. He retired. So you've got 6 or 7 judges, whatever that is. And but whenever they put on the addition, if they change some things around in the existing courthouse, they will have added basically one courtroom to suffice for all of the judges will have their own courtroom. Well, currently we have 3 courtrooms in our county building where we meet, and that's domestic violence court, civil court. My husband used to call Hate Your Neighbor Day because neighbors would fight over if the goat got on the fence. I mean, I'm saying that lightly, but people can get ticked off over some things, and it would be settled in district court, divorce court, different things like that, juvenile court. And so you'll still have those 3 existing courtrooms plus what you're going to have added on. So there's mention of taking the existing courtrooms in our county building, turning them into offices for around $4 million. No, no, we need to keep those courtrooms, because if crime keeps growing, we're going to need all the courtrooms we can get. The last time we voted, the other meeting, right, for Christmas, we voted $3.14 million to pay an architect for this addition and a construction manager. I asked, we had a dude there that was talking about the construction manager with Brian Baker, our assistant county manager. And I said, how much is this going to be? And he said, well, we don't know yet. So I thought, okay, a construction manager is to get you in a contract like our school at Southeast. Samet, we had a construction manager. I think it was $67 million, and that was the contract. And if they went over or anything like that, the construction manager had to eat that cost, not the school. So we're doing that for this same thing, but I don't know how much that's going to be. So they voted 4-1, not me. And so that moved that forward. So the thing about that is, if you voted for this, you're voting to support that tax raise, that tax increase of 1 cent that you're going to get slapped with 2026 to go with this. We moved $5 million into the capital fund money that we have. We have general fund and we have capital fund. Right before Mr. Turner got off, he voted to move $5 million into the capital fund toward the increase instead of just 1, because 1 penny equals 2.5 million. So that was 5 million, which would be 2 pennies, and they moved that into the capital fund. You already had 10 million in there from COVID money, art money. I used to talk about the COVID fairy flying across the sky throwing out money. She broke now, she ain't got a broom, but that happened with this. And so don't talk about taxes. If you vote for this, regardless if it was voted 10 years ago, if you voted for this, you're supporting that 1 cent tax increase.
Yeah, and the commissioner you're speaking of that Ed Priola ran on, he was going to cut property taxes, not maintain the property tax rate, but he was going to cut property taxes. And as Pam said in that last meeting, when it came up to this $3.14 million, he voted for that, which was part of the 37 million, or is it going to be added to the 37 million, Pam?
They're saying that's part of it, but I hope it's 37 million. I've never seen a government build that
Mm-mm.
is that, and hopefully the construction manager, since that's been done with, will make sure that doesn't happen. That's the
I
key.
have very. I've never known a government entity. I will say this: the Alamance Burlington school system, when they built Southeast, they
Mhm.
came in right at 67 million. I mean, so that that was pretty good. Unlike ACC, of course, that we talked about. So I have very
Yeah,
little confidence in government entities maintaining a budget that they said. This is why we're telling Alamance County people, you need to get involved with these things. You need to understand this is a cent tax increase that's going to hit you in 2026. They're getting ready to do a budget in this upcoming year, and that's why they're wanting not to add anything else to it, because you're already going to get hit with a 1 cent tax increase. And now
yeah.
they're building this building here, this which is the 1 cent. But I guess I'm asking Pam. So this is 3 floors, and do you know what's going to be on each floor?
I'm assuming there'll be the judges' offices. They may move. I don't. They may move the clerk in there and use that as a courtroom. I don't know. We will know that whenever we get the plans from the architect. There's been so many ideas from 99 to 74 to 54 to 37, and so I just hope every space will last us for a long time, because this is something you don't build and 2 years later, oh my God, we don't have enough room. You just can't keep doing this. I mean, the more people moves in Alamance County, we're seeing that with our schools, how quickly they're getting filled up. Plus, then your services, EMS, police, sheriff, fire, all that increases because more people means more services. So it just keeps adding. It's great to grow, but boy, it costs you to.
Yeah. Is this a loan? Or are we taking
This
out a
is a
loan?
loan.
So
This is a
this is
loan.
going to be a loan a cent tax increase that's going to be on there.
Mhm.
I mean, for how many years? Do you have any idea how many
I'm
years
sure
this
it'll
is?
probably 20. Seems like
Okay.
everything's 20. Don't
So
quote me on
20
that,
years,
but I'm
that's gonna
assuming.
be a cent tax that we're probably not gonna be able to touch or anything. So tell everybody where the building is going to be located, so when they ride through Graham, they'll have an idea where, when they see the construction, they'll say, "Hey, that's the Alamance County Courthouse Edition."
Well, they've had several different plans, but the last plan, the Allen Courthouse, there's the memorial for the veterans. Look to the right, and it'll be built on that end, and will take up some of your parking. They originally thought about building on the left side, but then that would have taken up so much of the sheriff's department's parking, and so it's the reason I'm not really for this is the cost, of course, and the public didn't get to decide if they wanted to pay for it, but the fact that you're building on a landlocked lot. I mean, you can't really go out further. There was talks of even building a parking deck. I thought, in Graham, okay, because I'd mentioned about finding land if possible and building a courthouse that you can grow into, have your other entities there as well, where you'd have everything's under one roof, kind of like the Family Justice Center. But you would have thought I had four heads when I suggested that, so I thought I'll be quiet.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it just wanted to make everybody aware of what was going on or what's going to happen. And it's going to be an expense for the Alamance County taxpayer. And, we appreciate you stepping up and trying to make us aware of what's actually going on. And whether you're like, I think we talked about it, there's several people that are for it. There's some
Mhm.
that oppose it. We just wish that they would have, I don't know. I guess I wish they would have looked at more options, and maybe they did. Maybe it just wasn't made aware of them, but more options as far as using, already existing facilities. Maybe they didn't exist. Is that a correct assumption, Pam, or no?
Well, we've been looking at buildings all over the place to try to get everything centrally located in Graham, but there's
Uh-huh.
just not. there's just not. You don't have all these free buildings. I mean, we've looked at different ones to buy, and I thought, we just raise taxes. You don't just turn around and spend money like in your face. We're buying buildings now. I just, but it's, I don't know, Keith. It's just something to really think, is this a real want? I know the courthouse is crowded, but we got to do something about crime. I'd rather add 5 floors to the jail and put all the criminals in jail and get them off the streets than to keep doing something like this. We just sometimes seem that we cater to the wrong population. It's like
Agree
the
with
ones that work and pay for it are the ones that get the least amount.
And that's a
You
good
know,
point. And you know, Pam,
frustrating.
we talked about a group of people who, if you own property, this is affecting you. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't own property, it's not going to affect you,
No,
right?
no, and I mean, you're just getting. I remember when we were going through the reval. Oh my Lord, I'll never forget them all because I cried with them. 68-year-old woman. Her and her husband were executives at like AT&T, Lucent up on the interstate, and
Yeah,
he passed. They moved to Alamance County to downsize because all their children are grown and live everywhere. They moved to Alamance County to downsize, and then he got sick and passed away. And she said, we thought about if one of us could do it. She said, but with this tax increase, she says, now I don't know because she's retired if I can afford to stay in the house that I downsized to. And I thought, this ain't not the way it's supposed to be. When you're in your seniors, you have paved the way for everybody. You have paid in all these years, and then you're going to suffer because there's a lot of people that don't pay squat. And I'd rather, if you don't pay nothing, just give me $1 so you can at least put into the system instead of the system always putting into you. It's got
yeah.
to be fair and balanced, and it's just not.
It's killing the people who really, it really does hurt people. I've heard of people on this latest tax increase that went
Mhm.
up. Their mortgage payments went up over $100 with taxes and escrow and all this stuff because the value went up. They had to escrow that. I mean, $100 a month just on one area.
Well,
That's
I'll tell you, Keith, I mean, we are retired. Craig has, left a 45-year law practice, and all the money that he would have made to be hired is not there. And so we live month to month like everybody else.
yeah,
And I think, God, don't let anything break. And whenever I paid city and county taxes, I thought, there goes my savings. I could have went on a heck of a cruise. But I want my taxes to pay for what it's supposed to. But I just wish everybody put something into the system
I agree.
instead of certain ones having to carry the load for everybody.
I agree. Well, Pam, I hope to have you on several more times to discuss maybe as they progress into this building to keep us up to date on this and any other updates or things that they're discussing in the county to give us a little bit more insight into it. I do appreciate you coming on and talking about this courthouse. Anything else you want to say
Just please
in
know this
closing?
is my opinion. This is Pam's opinion. I was very opinionated as a school board member, and I am as commissioner because a public servant is just that. And you got to listen to people. And I promise you, when I come off this commission board, this will be it for me. There will be not a beach house nor a book. I will not be like 1.5 million. No, but I mean, I just really take it personal when I'm having to vote that I know it's going to really make it hard on people because it's already hard.
Yeah.
I just think, but we could be Western North Carolina, so we need to be thankful. But at the same
Oh,
sense,
yeah.
just don't beat us down. Just keep not beating us down.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And thank you for coming on. And I do appreciate that. Thank you, Pam.
Listen.
Uh-huh. Well, if you've enjoyed this, let me encourage you to email me at alamancecountytalkspolitics@gmail.com. Also, hit the subscribe and like button. Once again, I appreciate Pam coming on and discussing this important topic for the Alamance County taxpayer. And until next time, take care.